Do not let somebody's 2 cents ruin your $1 million mind. When I left Vermont, all my friends, there wasn't a single person up there that was like, man, you're going to crush it.
Yeah.
They were all like, what are you going to do when racing doesn't work out? It doesn't work out.
Yeah.
What? I'm leaving. I'm leaving with a one-way ticket. I ain't coming back.
This is the Workin' Sports Podcast.
Mamba Smith is the chief hype officer for NASCAR. Catchy, sounds cool, but what does it really mean? And how does someone become a chief hype officer? What is this career path? The people need to know, because I want it. I want to be a hype officer. It sounds awesome. In reality, what we have here is a true expert with a genuine love, developing and leading incredible content with an infectious energy and smile. So let's break this down. First off, Mamba Smith is a racer.
Hi, my name is Dylan Smith. I'm from Randolph, Vermont. I'm 22 years old, and I race in the NASCAR Whelen All-American.
I told him one day we'd be able to turn the TV on and see me race, and today's the day.
He knows the race game from being a competitive racer. He's been a mechanic. He's worked in marketing and communication. And he's the type of guy who knows everyone because he is kind, genuine, and approachable. So, in August 2021, NASCAR leadership, including our guest from a few weeks ago, Amy Anderson, NASCAR head of content strategy, went to Mamba with an idea. Host podcasts, star on our YouTube channel, get the crowd going at Fan Fest during events, analyze the races, interview the racers, share the passion, excitement, and knowledge you have for NASCAR with the world by being a voice of the brand direct with the people. And it works. But I'll let him share the details because his energy is even higher than mine. So here he is, Mamba Smith. And don't worry, he'll explain the Mamba nickname. Hey, Mamba. So happy to have you on the show. This is so cool to kind of get a chance to talk to you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. I'm happy to be here. I saw you cutting up with my boss lady, Amy. And I was like, man, hell yeah. This was awesome. So I was like excited to get a part of it.
Amy's the best. I absolutely loved that conversation with her. And I got to tell you, doing some more research to prepare for this conversation with you, I was getting excited because you do the podcasting, you do this conversation. So this will be a fun way for us to dig in and talk. And before we get into your role with NASCAR and some of the details and the finer of how you got there, I'd love to start at the beginning a little bit. So, you got a really cool story arc. So let's discuss it a little bit. Born in Haiti, grew up in Vermont. I also grew up in New England. I grew up in the Boston area, and the race game isn't crazy there as much as it is in other areas of the country. Yeah. How did you start to get this passion flowing where this became something you identified with so much?
Yeah, honestly, like in Vermont, it is really big. Like it's something that everyone does every Thursday night. We go to Thunder Road every Thursday night throughout the summer. There's some other racetracks around that have that, but Thunder Road is like the one. For stock car racing, like there's modified racing and it's a little bit more Connecticut and stuff like that. But I started going when I was 3, man. I went to the racetrack when I was 3, loved it. My dad bought me a go-kart that summer. I started racing when I was 4 or 5 and we won. And we won, and I realized that winning was fun. And so we just kept going. Yeah, we just kept going down that path, and it was cool because it was my thing. Like no one else at my high school did it. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, like I'm from Vermont, right? So like the black population is very low. Like I had to go 45 minutes to see another black person, and I've never thought about it like this till just now. But because I was already a little bit on my own, like as far as doing like what I look like and stuff, I think I connected with racing so hard there because I was the only one also doing that. So like there was like a connection to it because of my situation, and I never really thought about it like that till just now. But that's probably a big reason as to why, because no one else was doing it, and no one else could be me. No one else around me looked like me, and definitely no one else was doing it. So it was like a connector there.
Yeah, you like the idea of being completely unique and one of one, like your own person, 100%.
Yeah, no, I think I've kind of always been like that since I was a kid. And like I said, I'm adopted, so I have 2 white parents, and my parents I couldn't have asked for a better situation. And it's an open adoption, so I know my mother, I know my grandparents, and I know my aunt. We have a great relationship as well. So they've always sent me cards and Christmas and birthdays and pictures, and it's probably the best situation that anyone's ever had as an adoptive person.
That's a really cool background story there.
Yeah.
So were your parents then, your adopted Vermont parents, were they always supportive of this concept of being a racer and pushing this realm?
Yeah, I mean, my dad always was. He loved it. Like my dad he owned a flooring store, so he wasn't a mechanic.
Okay.
So he learned how to work on these go-karts and these cars reading chassis books. Like and he just was a student of the game. And he got really good at it, especially on the go-kart stuff. He was probably one of the best in our area doing it.
Okay.
And my mom she liked it, but you know how moms are, like moms are
Mom was
like,
nervous.
yeah, and she really wanted me to go the college route.
Yep.
And I remember when I took my first PSAT, like and so I guess I was a sophomore, and then your second one was coming around, and my dad was like, "Do you even want to go to college?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"I want to drive race cars, man. Like
Right.
that's what I want to do." He's like, "Well, until you figure out what you want to do, he's like, let's just not do this part." And I'm like, "That's cool." So
Yeah.
he always believed in me to make something of myself. I don't think he always knew what it would be, but he knew that I would always be able to make something. So that's cool.
I love that. As a parent, and I have a girl who's a sophomore right now in high school, so I feel that when you're like, you just want your kids to be happy and driving towards something that makes them passionate and fulfilled and all that, and you found it. Okay, so getting from Thunder Road in Vermont, where you're racing there and you're finding this love and this passion, to where you are now is a really big leap. How did you kind of start to build your name on the scene and kind of develop into where you are now?
Yeah, so I moved to Charlotte when I was 18, like right out of high school. Bang, moved.
Yeah.
I
just gotta get down there and be a part of it.
Yeah. So I tried out for the NASCAR diversity program the year prior. I didn't make it the team. They offered me a job. I talked to Andy Santerra, who's a legend from New England, and he was running the program. And I'm like, "Man, what should I do?" He's like, "Well, do you want to race or do you want to be a mechanic?" I said, "I want to race." He's like, "Well, you better go." He's like, "You better race then." I'm like, "Well, that's coming from the GOAT, so I guess I'm gonna go back home and go race."
Good advice.
Yeah, good advice. That's a good point.
You said it, boss. Let's go. Yeah.
So went back and actually had a way better year. Won a bunch of heat races, podiumed once. Like we were just a lot better.
Yeah.
And we essentially ran out of money. That's what happens a lot of times. So tried out for the diversity program again, didn't make it again, but I was like, "Hey, I'm graduating. I'm graduating. Like, is that job offer still available?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, if you want it." So like 2011, moved down to Charlotte. Started. I couldn't even read a tape measure, man. I started sweeping the floors and stuff. I couldn't. So they, they trained me up, and it's been a grind. It's been fun. It's been I've really enjoyed it. A lot of ups and downs, but that's all part of it. It's part of the journey. So, went from working there as a mechanic. I pulled a legend car out of the back with a buddy, and we put it back together. And someone saw me. Jefferson Hodges saw me putting in the work, and Jefferson was running the program at this point. And he got the team to fund the legend car season that year. So that was cool. And then I was working on Kyle Larson's K&N car, and we won the championship. So that was cool. And then
got
some
cool experiences,
I got
right?
some cool. And then I left there and went to Stuart Haas. And Tony Stewart's always been my favorite race car driver, and now he's become a friend and a brother. And we won a championship in 2014 with Harvick. And then I left there, and I went and helped start this race team called MDM Motorsports. So I was the third employee. We had 3 cars, and in 3 years, we went from 3 people in 3 cars to 30 cars, 30 people, and 6 race teams.
Wow.
And we won 30 races in 3 years, and we won a truck race. And I went from being a mechanic to in charge of comms, marketing, and the parts department. So it's been then we folded up, and I had to bet on myself, man. I knew I wasn't gonna be a crew chief. The ceiling was low there. So I'm like, I want to stay front office. I know, and our team shut down in December. So like all the spots are full. So luckily I had some friends in event marketing that pulled me on, and I started traveling around the country doing event marketing. And then Tim Clark called and he's like, "Hey man, I'd like to talk to you about doing some on camera stuff." And he's like, "Hey, this is Amy Anderson. This is gonna be your go to." And man, we've been ripping ever since. It's been a good last 2 years, 3 years.
So you kind of alluded that the drive for diversity was something that you had pushed for, but in 2015 you did end up getting to be a part of that.
Yep.
So we can all acknowledge that NASCAR has traditionally been a platform for white men, and this program is important. You joined it again in 2015, talented drivers from diverse backgrounds, a chance to compete. Take us through that moment a little bit and what it has meant for your career and the perspective, and just the fact that NASCAR has been willing to invest in this process and developing other athletes in this format. What does that mean?
Yeah, the process is huge. I want to make sure I say this because I think it will shock people. NASCAR for years has been winning diversity awards across sports for years. NASCAR has the most diverse building, HQ, and whether it's people of color or females that are in position to make big decisions and that can build teams. Like that's what NASCAR has done, and we've been doing it for a while. The hard thing is our sport, our athletes that are face forward are the drivers. There's only 40 of them. There's only 100 of them, 120 that get to race NASCAR week in and week out in the entire world. Like, you know what I mean? So
that's crazy.
The barrier to entry is a dollar amount. Like if you have the funds to get the time and to put in the work, then you can be there. But so for us, a lot of our diversity comes on the back end. People that are putting in the work to put on the show, and they don't get all their roses all the time, and you don't see that. So like when people that don't know the sport are like, "Oh, this is really just a white man sport," like, no, it's not. Like there's a lot of diversity here. I'm down here in Daytona, and there's so many different people of different creeds in the infield, camping out together, community. It's an amazing thing, and I think NASCAR has been leading the charge for a minute. I think getting rid of the Confederate flag for a lot of people really opened some eyes on both ends of the spectrum. Like I think some people didn't know how bad it affected people, and some people didn't know, oh, they're really not like that. They don't care that much about that. So it's we've been through the process, and it's been a good one, man.
It's another one of those things where the more people can listen to one another and hear from somebody else's perspective, the more that opens up the dialogue. And I think that's really important you're sharing that too, because I've been in the industry for a long time. I've studied diversity, equity, and inclusion across different sports. I didn't know that about NASCAR. Yeah. So I think that's brilliant that we're sharing that and getting that word out there, because I didn't know it was as diverse of an HQ as you're saying. So I think that's really cool to share. I know it isn't NASCAR, but I'm going to pivot here for a second. I know it isn't NASCAR, but in December, FIA put out rules in place restricting drivers' voice, right? So they can't make political, religious, or personal statements, which to many seem like a direct shot across the bow of Lewis Hamilton, who has been very vocal. What are your thoughts on trying to restrict the voice of athletes? Because I think we're in a generation right now where athletes across the board, whether it's LeBron or it's Serena or it's Lewis Hamilton, are being more vocal than ever. And it's sad to me to hear any kind of a governing body say, no, you can't do that. What do you think about that?
Man, I think it's sad when anyone is trying to restrict anyone from their thoughts. At the same time, there's a risk, right? There's a risk versus reward of being open-minded and having your own thoughts. And that's okay. If that person wants to take on that risk, the juice is worth the squeeze for whatever it is to them. And I think you got to let people do that. And whatever the fallout is, you deal with that later. But if you feel passionate about something, you shouldn't be restricted in talking about it. And for Lewis, he's such a leader in the world. He's like one of those Kobe Bryant type guys, one of those Chadwick Boseman 100%. Type guys that like when he speaks, people listen. And I hate that because that's such a big part of him and why he's great. And for F1, there are a lot of reasons why they're great is because of him.
Yeah,
and because of what he does and being open and you know, so I think that's a really risky road to go down, you know, making a law, right? There's always internal, like, hey, maybe if you want to talk about this, let's make sure we do it like this. But just to break it down and be like, no speaking on this at all, like, I don't really like that.
No, I don't run with that. And I feel like I love the fact that he came out recently and was like, yeah, that's not going to stop me. Like, he's using his leverage too. He's like, I've got power in this conversation. I can decide whether I'm going to agree to this or not. And if you want to penalize me however you're going to penalize me, trust me, the backlash is going to go against you, not me. So I think he's using his leverage, which is pretty cool.
He's arguably the GOAT, right? I mean, and he's talking about 101. He's like, obviously there's diverse backgrounds because it's F1 and there people are coming from all over, but he's been one of the only people that looks like him in that space and has become a legend.
Yeah.
Like, not just because of that, but because he wins. He's a bona fide winner and champion. So, like,
it's not a novelty. He's a star.
Yeah, he's a stud. Yeah. Like, you better be careful because a lot of people wear Lewis Hamilton stuff, you know, all over the world. Like, that's right. He is the face.
All right. So before we go any further, you got to explain the Black Mamba nickname. I know you probably have had to explain this 10,000 times. You grew up in Vermont. Your name is Dylan Smith, but you're Black Mamba now. Yeah. So how did it happen? I got to know.
So it was about 2011, and I went go-karting with a group of people I didn't know. It was like Brandon McReynolds, Corey LaJoy, Joey Logano, Skip Flores, like all these racers, and we're all the same age, right?
Yeah.
And I'm new. And I went down with my buddy Michael Cherry, who had been racing with them. And I'm new and like I don't know I know who these guys are, but you know, I'm just trying to find my bearings, you know what I mean?
Find your lane. Where do you fit?
I'm an
like, how do you fit in with these people?
18, 19-year-old kid by myself just trying to find it. And I had gone to this go-kart track the year before I moved. And you get to put in a racer name. And at the time, Kobe Bryant was the baddest man on the planet. Like
hell yeah.
Baddest athlete on the planet, right? And his nickname came up as the Black Mamba. Well, like DeAnthony Thomas in NCAA football, he became the Black Mamba. And like all these sports were like dubbing different people. I'm like, Black Mamba, that's cool. I'm like, hell, I know ain't no one got Black Mamba in NASCAR. Like I know that.
Right.
I know that for sure.
I know I can take it here.
So I was like, you know, let me put that in. Well, I put it in and I forgot all about it. Well, when I went back to race with all these people, that's what showed up on the leaderboard. We do the first race and I end up like in the middle, like 6th or 7th or something like that. So like respectable for all these people. Yeah. And they're like looking down the leaderboard, they're like, who in the hell is the Black Mamba? And I'm like, yo, and I'm like 5.
This
like,
guy.
Yeah, I'm like 5'9". Man, I'm not huge. Like I weigh 150 pounds soaking wet at the time. And they're like, that's awesome. And it stuck. Well, what happened is that next race, Joey Logano and Corey LaJoy squeezed me into the first corner and someone hit me from the back and got my go-kart stuck under the wall and they had to stop the race. And everyone's like, what's going on, Black Mamba? Like, what are you holding up this shit? Like, bro. And then they started seeing me at the racetrack and everything. I even got
It just happened.
It just stuck. And I even got a voicemail. I think I saved it from my friend, Too Tall Medill. His nickname's Too Tall because we call it 5'19". So he's like 6'7". He's huge. And
5'19".
5'19". Like and so he goes, hey, I don't know who Dylan is, but Black Mamba, if this is you, like, call me back. It's just like, because my voicemail, hilarious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're like, hey, it's Dylan Smith, leave a message. And he's like, I don't know if this is the right number, Dylan, but if Black Mamba's there, have him call me. That's awesome.
Yeah, so for a long time, no one knew my name was Dylan, so it's okay. It worked out. Yeah. I love it.
Who needs it now? Throw it away. Who needs Dylan anymore?
Yeah,
You're Mamba.
Yeah, I tried signing my autograph, Mamba, but it's too much. And like the letters it's just the same stuff, right? Because M-A.
Oh yeah.
And then M and then B-A. So it's a lot of.
This looks like a bunch of bounces.
Yeah. Like I can't do this thing. So and then I thought about that part. I think it was in Coming to America when he's talking about Muhammad Ali. He's like, if his mom calls him Cassius, I'm gonna call him Cassius. So I'm like, you know what? My mom will name me Dylan, so I'm gonna do Dylan, do the parentheses, Mamba, and then Smith. So like I keep it, make mom happy and everything.
It all works out. Let's talk about this NASCAR Chief Hype Officer deal. So 2020, you start your own Mamba Media. 2021, like you said, Tim Clark and Amy came to you and brought you in to talk about taking on a role with NASCAR. What does it mean? What's it like for you being a part of this organization? And why do you think they identified you? Why did Amy and Tim say we want to talk to Mamba and see if this is a fit?
Like I've had obviously 7 years of trying to get into the NASCAR diversity program as a driver. Like you can't get over. Like I got over the hump once, but then it was short lived, right? And like it just hurt. Like it hurt because it was like I was a top 5, top 3 candidate every time. And I was like, I don't know what is going on. Like, I don't know why I'm not getting, so like my heart got a little hardened, by it when it comes to that. So when Tim came to me, I'll tell you, I've told this story so many times with him. It's probably my favorite one to tell, honestly. So he comes to me, he's like, hey man, can we meet at the Starbucks across from the office? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. Right? And I don't know what Tim looks like. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
We've met at a party once, but like it was a Halloween party at Ryan Blaney's house. So like, I mean,
you're not gonna remember meeting really, somebody.
Yeah, we didn't really meet,
So I still don't know what you look like. You were in a Halloween garb. Yeah.
Right? So I show up to the Starbucks. I got a straw Truly hat. Like a big straw Truly hat. I got my Fresh Prince of Bel-Air baseball jersey and these,
but of course,
tiger print pink flamingo shorts. And Tim comes in and he's like, looking pretty corporate. And he's like, hey, Tim. He's like, hey, Mom, this is Tim Clark. And I'm like, hey, man, nice to meet you. I go, all right, man, what do you want? Like just straight. I'm just like, so what do you want? Like, what do you want to do? And he's like,
time is money. Let's get this going, bro.
Yeah. He's like, well, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know. Like what? So, and we chatted and I just could believe in him. Like I could believe because he believed in me and what I can bring to the table. And he didn't 100% know exactly what it was going to be, but he could see something and he put me with Amy and me and Amy worked so well together. Yeah. And Amy was new to NASCAR. So like I was able to, more than just like a working relationship, but we have a very good friendship. Like, like we've done Thanksgiving together because she's here by herself. And I understood what that was like being here by yourself. And I didn't want her to feel like she never had anybody that she could just like cut up with or anything like that. So, they've just really, and I texted them. So we're at LA and, now that I'm the chief hype officer, like part of my deal now is I'm doing driver intros. So I didn't do the driver intros in LA, but I had a part where they're like, all right, we're going to run you out there for like 60 seconds. Just talk, like get people excited about.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. And I hit it. And it was a surreal moment because we started doing like a little hit with the fans. I said something and they said stuff back. And I was like, on the, LA Coliseum on the big screen and I'm wearing my Kobe Bryant jersey, like my favorite jersey. And just, then after I texted them both and I said, hey, thank you guys for believing in me. And they put me on USA's RFTC as a pundit. So like as an analyst and all that stuff matters. It matters a lot to me. It matters to my family. It matters to the people back in Vermont. And then, there's a lot of kids that look like me or people that look like me that never would think that they would put anybody on like that. Like we got Bubba, we got Raj. Now Josh Sims is on FS1. Brad Doherty's been here for a long time as an owner. Yeah. He's finally starting to get his roses. And like, it just means a lot. So it was a very surreal moment. It's been fun.
So what was their vision initially? Just, we want to get you out there. We want to have you at events. We want to have you doing some content and creating some stuff. Like, is that kind of what it was at the initial phase, and it's kind of just grown from there? Or
so it was August, not last year, the year before that I started, and the conversation started in like June or July. So it was like basically the playoffs, and I came on to do not co-host. I came on to sit in on backseat driver. So it was a
Right.
YouTube show that we had. It's basically kind of like your first take or your first things first. Alex
Yep.
Weaver hosts the show. They wanted a more regular voice on the other side, and then we'd have a guest coming in. So we did that for the last 2 years, and it was cool. And like I decided that I wanted to be a mix between Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, Nick Wright, and Colin Cowherd, and a little bit of Brandon Marshall. Just like the energy, but also being able to bring
It's
it
a cool
to
combo.
like bringing to it straight, right? Like bringing real
Yep.
facts and real opinion that is maybe
Honest, authentic.
honest and arguable, because that makes it fun. You want to be able to go back and forth, but like
have a point of view,
a different angle than other people were seeing. So
Yep.
that's really where it started, and then it evolved. Jeff Burton and Mark Martin started a podcast. We called it Mark, Mamba, and the Mayor. So I started hosting that.
I love that. It's a great name.
Yeah, it's great. It was super fun. We came up with a piece called NASCAR Next Now. So about 10 years ago, the stars of today that were coming up that I grew up with, Kyle Larson, Corey LaJoy, Brandon McReynolds, Bubba Wallace, Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, and yeah, that was a set of guys. And then Caitlin Vincey hosted it for us. And we just started talking about 10 years ago, man, when we were all kids and racing together and K&N and them racing hard.
Like
and
that.
it was, man, I got to be honest. Everyone needs to check it out. It's on NASCAR's YouTube. It's called NASCAR Next Now. It's probably some of the coolest content because we were drinking. We were having a good time cutting up, and you can tell like there's some fire and some stories that were being said. And it was great, man. It was so cool. So
I love those origination stories too, like what people were doing to get started. That's a lot of the topics we try to get into on the show a lot. It's like we're talking to different people about how they got inspired, what led them this path, like where did they come from, and all that kind of detail I think is always really interesting because everybody's so unique and different, and there's something that helped propel them, some mentor, some moment, whatever it is. I love those kind of stories. So everybody should totally check that out. NASCAR Next Now. So you're wearing the sweatshirt. It looks good on you. This is NASCAR's 75th anniversary year, 1948 to 2023. Yep. Amy and I talked about it a little bit, but I'd love to hear from your perspective too. What does this mean for you in the coming year? How do you really lean into this, and how do you guys keep building up that brand?
Yeah, no, I mean, Amy and her team and our team absolutely crushing the rollout. I mean, the content that we've been putting out is just like, it's fire. It's just different. Like it's not like it's paying homage back to our history, but it's not it's not like run of the mill content. Like there's a thought process, and it's flashy, and it's loud, and it's super fun. I'm super excited to be a part of it. You know, we're doing these untold stories. We just dropped one with Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Bill France. And so like how their relationship was, and it's just cool, man. It means a lot because I remember being a kid for the 50th because I'm 30. So I remember seeing all the 50th badging, and the cars were special and unique. And so to be here now, 25 years later, right in the thick of it, like for me is like, it's wild. So I'm the GM for Rise Esports, and we have a NASCAR Coke League iRacing team. So that is the highest level of iRacing for NASCAR. And so we changed one of our numbers this year from 5 to 75 to tip the cap to the magical year, because on the 50th year, Rick Hendrick had a number 50 car that did the same thing. And I remembered that, and I'm like, we got to do this. Like I want to do this. And so the guys have been really leaning in. We got Sunoco as a partner, and they've been super cool and let us lean in. So one of our cars is 75. So we're leaning into like all throwback schemes all year long. So this year,
that's cool.
the first one was Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2001 Daytona Pepsi 400 win. So, it's iconic. It's a baseball, like all-star baseball car. Everyone loved that car. And then for the 46 car, we're doing a like into the future. So the 46 car is gonna have all fun theme, like whatever region we're at. We ran Daytona, so it was kind of like a Miami Vice. It was like a purple with a lot of pink and a lot of electric. Like it was cool. Yeah, man. Yeah. So we're just trying to push that story forward and let everyone know, like, we're here and we're gonna be here for a while. So
yeah, I mean, it's a great honor to be a part of something as impactful as a 75th anniversary. And there's so much fun stuff that you can do with that, and just be out there being vocal about what's happening and looking back nostalgically, I think is really cool. So I'm excited to see where that takes you. So Nat, we're doing this interview. What's today? Thursday? Today's Thursday. This weekend is Daytona. Time is all relative.
It's all relative, man.
This will air directly after Daytona. I am not going to ask you for a prediction. I never want to put anybody on the spot like that.
No, I'll give you one. I got one.
Okay, well, okay, you can definitely give your prediction. But I would also just like to know, what is your job and your role this weekend? This is a big event. This is a granddaddy. Like, what does this weekend look for you? How will the world see you and absorb your energy from this event?
Man, I was on pit road last night for single car qualifying. Just talking to the guys, saying hi to everybody, because I really take my job as putting smiles on people's faces. If people are smiling and they're having a good time and a good experience, like, that's what I feel like I'm supposed to bring, and try to connect our fans a little bit more to the garage, because I have those relationships, and just letting them feel like they're closer to us. We are the most accessible sport in all of sports, but it's still hard sometimes, to get there. And so I'll be out in the fan zone. I'll be doing interviews on the stage. And I'm kind of all over. Like, I'm a utility guy. I am the utility baseball player. Yep. Like, you need me to do an interview, I got you. You need me to hype the fans up, I got you. You need me, whatever you need, whatever Amy and Tim and the rest of the team needs, I'm like, you guys just call and I will be there. So
do you ever not have a smile on your face all weekend? Like, is this like this is the Super Bowl, right? It's like, you're in the thick of it. This is great.
It's when I rolled in, you forget. Like, it's easy to forget. Daytona reminds us every time. You roll in, and it's like, oh yeah, we're back. Like, the season's long, so it's a grind. But like, when you don't have racing for 2 months, you're like, damn, man, I really miss this. And then you come back and see all the campers and people setting their stuff up, and they're excited, and it just the energy starts building.
Yep.
That's my favorite part about it, man. And I'm
people
excited.
People go on pilgrimages to be there for this. So, like, and you're right in the thick of it. It's got to be pretty important.
In the middle of it. And hopefully the guys put on a great show all week.
All right. So give us the prediction. Go ahead.
All right. So my prediction is, I'm going to give you my championship prediction too. I think Kyle Busch is going to win the championship. Okay. I also have a bet with Kyle. If he wins it, then me and him are both getting tattoos in Nashville. 8 tattoos. So there's that.
You're literally putting some skin in the game.
Yeah, I just feel like, I think he's dope, and I think he's gonna get it done. I think I'm gonna give 3 picks for the win. It's either gonna be Ryan Blaney, because he's been putting himself in position every time at plate races. I think it also could be Joey Logano. And then, honestly, I think Kyle Busch might be one to win this one too. Like, this race really, like, the aggressors, whoever's aggressive usually ends up being able to win the Daytona 500. So aggressive driving goes a long way.
I'm an aggressive driver. I can do that.
Yeah, come on. Okay, so come check it out.
Come check it out. So most of the athletes that I know or have worked with, and even like the top level performers, reporters, anchors, analysts that are on TV a lot, you said it. It's a long season. It's intense.
Yep.
They all have to decompress. They all have to be able to kind of have those moments that they kind of come down from as well. So they take their downtime seriously. What does that look like for you? Are you one of those people that's like, my downtime is I go play another sport? Or are you like the guy that goes and hits the karaoke bar? Like, how do you kind of get yourself into a different frame of mind after a big event like Daytona?
Man, I got to tell you, I don't really have downtime. Honestly,
no?
Honestly, man, I downtime is not good for me. I have created, what I have created is a creature of go. Like if I'm sitting stagnant, like, I feel like I need to be doing something, that I could be doing something that is helping me reach my goals. So I don't really rest. Like, people are like, how are you not tired? And I'm like, Man, the hell are you talking about? I'm always tired, but I'm gonna be tired either way, and I'd rather be tired living a life, chasing a life worth living, than just being tired to be tired. So, you know, I get energized when I get to hang out with my friends. I get energized, hang out with fans. I get, when I can plug in to something, a fun atmosphere, I'd rather do that than just sleep. So there ain't much rest for
No
me.
downtime.
No
time allowed.
Our season ended November 6th. I had a race.
You're back at it.
I had a race November 18th. We had Thanksgiving. I officiated my first wedding December 2nd. December 10th, I went to another wedding. December 30th, I had a wedding. December 31st, I had 2 weddings. January 9th, I had a wedding. January 21st, I had a wedding. 7 weddings in 7 weeks. I didn't stop until the wedding season was over.
And every friend probably wants you to get on the mic and cut it up and get everybody going and get excited, right? Everybody's like, come on, Mamba, this is your thing. Get everybody going.
They know what you
get
know.
Everybody on the dance floor.
If you invite me to your wedding, there's 2 things.
You know what's going to happen.
There's 2 things. One, if you invite me to your wedding, if you want to be the best looking guy at your wedding, don't invite me. Don't invite me. Don't do it.
Nope.
Because
don't do it.
I live to wear some of those, something really nice. I live for those.
Yeah, you're going to draw the
moments.
attention.
I'm bringing
You're taking the attention off the groom. Yeah.
If you don't want that, don't do that. And number 2, it's gonna be a good time. The party don't start till I get there. I love dancing all night long. I'm usually sore the next day. I love singing. My voice is usually gone. I love being in a party environment and just making memories with my friends, man, or people I don't even know. That's honestly that's almost better. If I don't know
Not
you,
even
you're
required to know who you are.
Nope, So that's what it is. I will hype man
awesome.
for anybody for sure.
I love it. All right, so I want to finish up with this. I'm so thankful for the time you've given us. I know it's a busy weekend for you. It's so great. You've kind of, in a lot of ways, created your own career path through passion, right? You're excited about this. It means something to you.
Yeah.
It's not a traditional job that you've created and a niche that you've built for yourself. What kind of advice would you give to the young people out there that are looking at you and that are inspired by you and are thinking this side of it, this just having a real passion and vision for what I enjoy could be the difference for me? What kind of advice would you give those people?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. The first thing is positive mental attitude is the most underrated skill to have. And I'm going to say it again, positive mental attitude, because life is 10% about what happens to you and 90% of how you respond.
Yep.
And how you respond is how you think. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your future. So if you're thinking negative thoughts often, that's the energy that you're gonna pull in. So being cautious about what you're thinking and how you're, especially about yourself, right? Yep. Love you. You gotta love you. If you don't like where you're at, if you don't like what you're doing, man, switch it up because you only got one life.
Make a change. Yep.
Yeah, and the lifespan isn't okay, let's say it's 100 years. Well, the first 18, you don't know nothing, right? The first 18, you don't know squat, right? Especially the first 15, once you get to start driving, right? So let's say you hit 16, and then from 16 to 25, 28, you're still oh man. And then you start figuring out after 20. So really you get let's say 30 to 55 of really your prime health, your prime living and everything. And then after 50, 55, it starts. So you got a short window to really enjoy as much as you
just went from making me happy to making me depressed. Now I'm like, shit, I'm almost dead. What are you talking about?
If you're a kid, you got a short window. You gotta get it, man. You gotta get it while you get it.
I'm coming down to Daytona this weekend to party with you, so I feel a little bit better.
Man. And so I think people always the future.
Yeah,
it's but the now, the right now, and then thirdly, and I think this is probably maybe the most important thing. Do not let somebody's 2 cents ruin your $1 million mind, because they can't see what God or the universe has laid out for you to see.
Yeah.
Like they're going to tell you you shouldn't, that you can't. When I left Vermont, all my friends, there wasn't a single person up there that was like, man, you're going to crush it.
Yeah.
They were all like, what are you going to do when racing doesn't work out? It doesn't work out.
Yeah.
What? I'm leaving. I'm leaving with a one-way ticket. I ain't coming back.
Right.
I'm gonna make it work out. I'm gonna figure it out. And like just knowing that, and knowing that people aren't going to be able to see it, and that's okay, because you see it, and you just got to keep pushing. If you really love it, you'll find a way. And I think that's really, really it. And honestly, just being a decent human being goes a long way. Like it's really basic, but like
it's not though. It's like, keep it simple, right? I mean, like, be a good person and good things are going to tend to happen.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying you got to go out of your way for everybody, but like, just don't go.
Kindness isn't hard.
Yeah. When you feel that when you see something and you feel that's tough, like for instance, we were in LA and there's a lot of homeless around and stuff, which is super sad. But there was this lady that was walking, and she was dragging like her blanket behind her, and it had like a bag, and it looked like of like toiletries and some stuff that it was important enough to where it was in a bag and it was on her person. And she goes across the street and back onto the sidewalk, and it bumps the bag off. Yeah. And I see it, and I'm like, like whatever. And I keep looking, and she's like walking pretty slow, and I'm like getting antsy. I'm getting Brian, I'm getting antsy about this. And I'm like, and I keep feeling this like, man, you really just not gonna like just run, like walk over and put. So I walk. So my friend is picking me up, and I walk out to her, and I'm like, 1 minute, and like I go up, grab the bag, throw it on the back of her. You know what I mean? Just turn around and go back. Like it's just, and I was like that weight, like I'm like.
You have to listen to that little voice too, because it was repeating inside of you, like, you can do something about this, right? And you gotta listen to it. You could have gotten in the car and left, and it would have been talking to you all day long, but you did something about it.
And that it's just like little stuff, and like, and I don't do that. Like I'm not doing that to be seen doing it, right? I'm just doing it because like something on me was like, I need to do this for this person. So just be a halfway decent person. That's just halfway.
Yep. It's not too much to ask. Well, I think you're a hell of a person, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. So this was fantastic. I'm so glad to get to know you more. I'm so excited for all that you're doing and the brand that you're building, and the opportunity to be such a powerful voice for NASCAR. And I just Tim and Amy are lucky. So I'm happy for you and all that you're doing. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
No, thank you so much. My tagline for everything is, it's a great day to be alive. And every day I wake up thinking that, and I try to put that into the universe. And I'm enjoying the ride. We're riding the wave, man. It could crash at any minute, but right now, Tim and Amy got me gassed up, so we're gonna be here for a minute. I hope so.
Have a great time this weekend. Thanks a lot for jumping on the show. So great getting to talk to you. Thanks, Mamba.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you to Mamba for coming on the show. I love people with passion and energy and excitement. It gets me all fired up. I hope it did the same for you. I really want to bring this home though. This isn't just a guy saying, I'm a big fan, put me on your podcast, put me on your YouTube channel, whatever. He has depth of knowledge. He truly is an expert. He knows the lens of the racer because he's been one. He knows what it's like to work on a car because he's done that. He's worked in marketing and communication. So he's got the idea and the knowledge and the passion and the energy that all comes together to form an opportunity. One thing we didn't get into too much, but I'd love to press him more on is, that power that comes from creating your own opportunities through energy, because I really do believe that. Our energy sometimes speaks for us, and his passion and excitement and energy comes through, and you want to then find an opportunity for him. If I'm A.B. Anderson, I totally get it, because I've been there, where you've met people that had an enthusiasm and an energy, and you wanted to figure out how to make them fit. So you can all take that and put that to work. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please rate, review, subscribe. It matters. It really does. And I appreciate every one of you. I'll see you on Monday.